It's the end.
That's right. After all this time,
It's finally over. How many years has it been?
like a dozen, like 12 years.
It's been 12
I
years.
think it's been 12 years.
Wow,
I've been playing this game since before it came out. I don't know about you.
that's impressive.
Yeah, several years actually.
You've been playing this game since before we had the technology to make this game.
Yes, that is technically correct.
That's impressive.
But yeah, I'm really excited. We've come a long way, and as we've said at least many times, we have no idea what the hell happens next. We've
All right.
never made it this far. We never fought Rowan, let alone beat him.
Yeah,
I cannot believe that happened in one try.
yeah. So I will say that after watching those cutscenes all the way through,
Yeah,
I have a better understanding of the storyline.
like a flawless one. Like
Well,
everything makes sense.
No, I mean a lot more of it makes sense, but I would really like to point out that that most of my understanding comes from the fact that you Wikipedia'd it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, like half of the first cutscene episode we did was just you being like, "So here's what's actually going on," and so I'm like, "Oh, now I understand everything that's happening." But
before...
none of the things you said come out of the cutscenes. None of them.
Well, I did warn you of that before we embarked on that journey through memory lane. I was like, I found out some things that are important that I have no earthly idea how you're supposed to know. And
Like,
you're like,
the whole Zephyr being an experiment thing, if we don't find that out in this end cutscene, there's no way for us to have known that.
Yep, and I really doubt that that's going to come out. I really, really do.
Alright, well, let's find out.
Yeah, I can't handle the suspense anymore. Let's see what happens now that Rowan is dead.
Or dying.
Nope, he's dead. He's a zombie puppet. I love that we murdered him right next to that giant painting of his dead love interest.
Please, won't you let the curtain fall?
So Japanese.
Shoot
I
him.
want to see it end.
After all he's done?
Zephyr don't give a shit.
Whoa. He's better. What is...
That's the symbol of Zenith.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened on Rebecca.
Yeah.
And even though we didn't see it, it's probably the same thing that happened to Zephyr. Why is he, like, walking like his leg is broken? Zephyr really hates that machine.
I don't blame him. It's a dick.
It really has fucked with him. Even though I'm alive, that still really hurts.
We'll let you take it from here.
Just leave him there? I mean, I guess he got his miracle, but I really don't know what happens next.
Fade to black. Credits.
I hope he uses his ring to become Zenith Lantern. Is it raining cherry blossoms? This game is so fucking Japanese.
I know. No, I think it's just snow.
Really? Like, they look flat to me.
I mean, they might be flat, but I'm pretty sure they're just supposed to be snow. It's Christmas.
No, Christmas came and left. Also, no one said, "Look, guys, it's snowing," which is how you know it's snowing in basically every TV show and movie ever
Where do you
created.
think they come from?
That's it. Don't forget to consider the possibilities.
Don't look away.
But look away.
I think you're right. I
Which
think they
way?
are petals.
That way. Outside our little world.
Look, we've come full circle. Don't look away.
Oh yeah.
It's from the intro cutscene when they
Oh
first met.
yeah. How is anyone supposed to remember that?
It's because we made a thing, that's why. That's the reason people are supposed to be able to know that. This is meant to be viewed with our commentary. That is the correct way.
Apparently. Oh look, we're back to her again.
She's gonna do something, maybe.
Ah.
What?
what to say to that. Is that the White House in the background?
I know, right? Barack Obama's like, hey! Oh, God! Yes!
The end dies, fade to black.
Oh! What happened to the hand?
Now they have to collect the jewel shards, a la Inuyasha.
Oh. What?
It's a strong, weak miracle!
Oh, look at the thing on the ground.
What thing? Oh, the sign, you mean?
Yeah.
So Zenith decided that it cared about all the Cardinals except Frida? That's cool.
Dick.
And Pater.
Aww.
Why did it let Pater die? That's fucked up.
Poor Pater.
That is messed up.
He was the happiest one of them all.
Pater is like the nicest guy in all of Basel, bar none. Like, the protagonists are not as nice as he was. Not close.
Is that Cardinal Oldman?
I think so. He looks so weird from this angle. Yeah, it's him. What is... Does Zenith have a plan here? What's going on? He's like trying to grab it like a cat with a laser pointer. Zenith, what? Zenith, Zenith, what are you doing? Zenith, why won't you let me have it? Zenith, just give it to me.
Shouldn't things be more wrapped up before we start the credits?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's actually not super uncommon for, like, the final whatever to happen after the credits in a video game. FMV director? Are these technically considered full motion videos? Or does that mean something else now? Because I thought full motion video was specifically that, like, that 90s style of, like, putting video on a CD-ROM game, which looks really bad.
Like the original, Resident Evil or Wing Commander or something?
Yeah, like that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I'm talking about.
Oh man, that game was so bad. You ever play Wing Commander?
I've played some version of Wing Commander.
Oh, it's a terrible game with really awful graphics and really awful programming that Mark Hamill was in.
Yeah, that much I know. I'm pretty sure... I think Wing Commander was on the G4 Top 100.
Was it?
I think so?
Probably
but
was.
This was extremely subjective.
It's a famous game.
Yeah. Resonance of Stairs. I assume that's Frida? How come Sullivan died too? Well, Sullivan was kind of an asshole. Sullivan is like the worst dude in Basel. He's like the anti-Pater.
Which is funny because he was wearing white. He's like the quote unquote good version of Rowan.
Sort of. I don't think it's as clear cut as that. I think they're meant to be like two sides of the same coin, but not really in morality, sort of like in theology almost. Like in their approach to God.
Like Sullivan is more penitent. More... And so therefore... Oh, look, he's alive.
Is it in the present, or are we time skipping? It turns out the whole thing was Pater's, he was playing with action figures, and the whole thing was just like one game of...
Do we have to watch this in the tiny box mode?
Well, that's how it's presented in the game. This is what the game is actually showing us.
Well, I'm gonna blow it up for you guys so you don't have to watch it in stupid box mode.
I see what you see.
I love that they make, like, the tiny-ass subtitles in the box.
She spoke.
She did. Aw, that's actually kind of sweet.
No, it's not. He's got his hand on her ass.
That's how you hug in Basel.
Is that the end?
That can't actually be the end of this game.
Nothing was wrapped up.
That
all of the questions that we had, we were like, maybe it'll be resolved.
That cannot actually be the end of the game.
Oh my god.
There's gotta be something after the credits.
Can we skip the credits? You got the controller?
You want me to try? Nothing seems to do that.
Start? Select? No, of course not.
Nope.
Alright, well, time for our usual credit wrap-up, I guess.
Yeah! So, Resonance of Fate. It's an interesting experience having gone through all of the cutscenes in this. If nothing else, the scope of this game is epic.
Oh my god, totally epic.
Like, normally when we do this wrap-up, it's just our response to the end, but because of this particular case where we wanted to try and make sense of it, we've really taken a look at the whole game just recently.
And what is your conclusion?
Honestly, I like this game even more now.
Really?
I really do. Like, the story is still a mess, but, like, it's at least closer to a mess in the sense that, like, some of the questions that they left unanswered are ones that are, like, intentionally left unanswered that you're supposed to sort of wonder about. There's still plenty of them that they just fucked up, and I won't pretend like they aren't.
Right.
But, like, especially, I think the biggest thing for me, like, understanding it more and appreciating it more is Rowan. Like, having a better idea of his character and where he's coming from and what he's doing. He's a really interesting character.
Yeah. Like, before we did the cutscene thing, he was this bland, like,
yeah, I mean, like,
bad guy.
I started picking up some of this stuff on the second playthrough. I didn't pick up very much the first time, because, like, we were both stuck in the camp of, like, which one of the two guys is he?
Yeah, right.
But, like, the second time, for some reason, I could tell them apart more easily, and, like, I started to gather it, but, like, you do get a better sense of it when, you know, things are closer together, when you don't have to spend, like, a whole year between these cutscenes trying to piece it together.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. I think that there are a lot of things this game does really well. The mechanics are very interesting.
The knives?
The knives, the best part, obviously.
The knives are the best part of this game.
I mean, you know, the whole combat system is very cool. It obviously has a lot of flaws. You know, the item system that we talked about.
I'm not even sure I would necessarily say it's a lot of flaws. I mean, compared to, like, most games, like, I take issue with a lot of things in video games, and I complain about a lot of things in video games, and if you watch the stuff that I put on my channel, the VascoDaGamer channel, like, I'm constantly just like, well, this thing about this game sucks! But, like, this game, it's like, okay, the targeting system is balls, and sometimes you get lamed by, like, running into a wall that you didn't really run into, and, like, there's a couple other weird glitches, and the items aren't as useful as they maybe should be. But the fact that you can play the game and the game isn't broken without the items working means, like, it really doesn't take that much away from the game experience, in my opinion.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, if you really want to use the items, you can. So it's, if anything, it's really just giving you an additional option that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
I just really wish that they would have more thoroughly explained half of the things that happen in the story.
Well, what do you... I mean, like... Zephyr was part of this experiment.
Right, which is never told to us.
I really don't know how you're supposed to.
Not once.
I'm not even, at this point, I'm somewhat skeptical. It may even be, like, speculation. I mean, like, the information came from Wikipedia, of all places.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point.
So, like, I mean, especially because of that comment about how, like, Leanne was saved by Zenith, like, when that incident where she tried to kill herself, like, the game really seems to suggest a different line of logic there.
Than the experiment thing? That Zenith saved him, and then it wasn't.
Well, I mean, in that case, I'm specifically talking about how, like, Sullivan may or may not have, like, switched out her quartz for some unexplained reason.
Yeah, that's another thing. We never find out whether or not Leanne dies.
Yeah, I think that's intentional. But I mean,
here's the thing. I get that decision. I get the decision of not letting us know whether or not Leanne gets to die.
Yeah.
The problem is that it creates more stupid questions about the story than, like, legitimate, like, well, let me think about that kind of question.
I would actually argue you on that one. I think that's actually a relevant decision to make for the end of the game.
Really?
The whole point of this game, like, the main, like, central theme of this, I think, is, like, is there a god? Do miracles exist? Is there a force beyond our understanding?
Then why have them all those guys resurrecting? Why bring all those guys back from the dead?
I mean, like,
here's the thing. If Leanne was the only one to ever be brought back from the dead, or to be saved from this whole quartz mechanism, then I'd be totally fine with it.
I mean,
but
like,
the fact that at the end of the game they bring back all the bad guys? What?
I mean, like, I will give you that, but at the same time, I do feel like it's relevant in that case because it's sort of like there's a greater mystery with her because we don't know whether her quartz was involved the first time around.
Right.
Like, leaving that unresolved, we don't know which quartz was hers, or if she survived it, or what. Like,
right. Are those all the credits? That was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Usually
all of those guys were composers, by the way.
Oh. Oh, there's your, or maybe not. Wow.
Hey! Leanne! Leanne!
All I really need is within my grasp.
Great.
Achievement unlocked.
Great.
Oh, man. Cleared save data could be saved. Let's do that.
Just put it somewhere.
I don't care. Does it matter? This one.
Sure.
Save file 6.
So,
Yes?
she survived.
That means one of two things, but I'm inclined to think that it means that somehow, when all was said and done...
What happens if you keep going? There's no more videos, right?
I don't think so.
Let's
Is it cleared?
Just go to the title screen then.
Oh.
See? I wanted to make sure there wasn't...
But it's just the same image. With the word
Finn! Finn! Thank you!
That's the real reward. Forget the achievement points.
Oh.
This is what you get for your trouble.
Oh my god. Really? You couldn't have put end? You had to be that dick and put Finn?
It's like a frying pan to the back of your head, isn't it?
It seriously is. Alright, so clearly this is the end. If there's another fucking cutscene after this, I'm gonna castrate someone.
Press the A button, we'll see what happens. Just resets.
Resets. Okay, so I'm sorry,
I
what were you gonna
think
say?
for the purpose of this, we're just gonna leave up that Finn image.
Yeah.
As we discuss this.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is that I think that the final cutscene, that final, it's not even really a scene, but like, you know, that last little bit with all the characters, I feel like that represents one of two things. And I think that it means is that, like, once Zenith sort of proved his influence and, you know, they directed their energies towards fixing the world, they managed to return to Earth as it was to some extent. Like, they managed to leave Basel, and that they're back out on Earth proper. Either that or she dead. And that's just...
Right, it's like heaven or
yeah, it's like her... That's like all she wanted in life was to be with them, and that's what death is to her.
But you noticed she was holding her hand up to the sun, and her
eyes did like the quartz thing, which made it seem like she was
glowing like the quartz.
It made it seem like she was alive, and maybe that was meant to imply that she was like independent of the quartz because she wasn't actually holding quartz, just that she had that sort of like aura. Like maybe it's even meant to be that like Zenith works differently now. Yeah. Like that now it is able to like regulate life but not constrict it. Yeah. Like it's not relegated to the quartz, but it is still able to like supplement mankind or whatever.
Yeah. It's too many questions. I'm fine with an open-ended ending. That was just too confusing.
See, that I feel like that's a reasonable amount of open-endedness. There are certainly plenty of things to complain about in terms of this game, especially the storytelling. But I really don't dislike that ending at all. I was actually quite happy with that.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't feel like there's a bunch of questions that are still unanswered that should have been?
Of course I feel that. It's Resonance of Fate.
That's my point. Is like, I wish they had wrapped up some of that stuff or been more explicit about.
Do I wish that they had answered more questions? Yes, but does that mean that the ending is bad? Not necessarily.
Well, the problem is that, for me, all those, questions that I had about what the fuck is going on... Yeah. I expected them to get wrapped up at some point. I expected them to be in the ending. If they're not in the ending, then the ending's bad. Like,
I think what you're saying is that your expectations were not met. That doesn't, strictly speaking, mean that the ending is bad.
Okay, fair point. Okay, so here's what I'm saying: is that all the things that we know because of Wikipedia and because of whatever, had those been in the game, and it had been fleshed out as much as we now understand it, that ending would have been fine with me. But the fact that there's a bunch of shit that isn't really brought up in a sufficient manner, I'm not happy with it.
I mean, like, no, I mean, yeah, I would like for the all of the information that we know to be readily accessible from the game.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I'm big into storytelling, and I'm very critical of storytelling. But, like, at the same time, I think the story that they have is a good one, and despite my better judgment, knowing the things about the story, even though they don't really come from it, and, like, even though that sort of thing normally really bothers me, but, like, I really do like the story of Residents of Fate. It's like nonsense. Like, it's still very difficult to follow. It's not handled super well, and there are certainly plenty of things, both with the knowledge we have and without it, that should be better explained, or even explained at all by the game, that just aren't.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like, the story is cool. Totally cool. I totally agree with that. I like everything about it, and if you'd sat there and explained the story to me, I would have thought, oh, that's awesome. Right. It's the execution I take it.
Absolutely. No, the execution is far from perfect. But, I mean, we're talking about two different issues. What we were talking about a moment ago was whether or not the ending was bad.
Okay, that's fair.
And I don't think the ending is bad. Yeah. But the storytelling of the game is... Bad is almost more strong than I want to say, but it's not good. No. It's not great.
No.
It's
just
flawed.
Missing things. Yeah. That's the thing. It's not like... I mean, okay, the dialogue is very wordy and...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I imagine some of that is just either artifacts from Japanese or just, you know.
Right, exactly. So, taking that into account, the only issue is that it's just missing scenes. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's missing small little things to make things a little bit more
Absolutely.
clear.
And you know...
And I honestly feel like some of it's intentional. I feel like
I do think some of it is intentional, and it shouldn't
And that's why I have an issue. It's like, okay, they just didn't do a good job. We'll let it slide, whatever. Yeah. But I feel like they're intentionally trying to be obtuse so that people are like, oh, I wonder what's going on. This game's mysterious. And like by the end, you're like, it's not mysterious. It's just dumb. They just didn't tell you all the things you need to know. I like the story. I love the game. That's my issue. Is that they like intentionally
that's entirely fair.
They intentionally cut stuff out.
That's entirely fair. In no way do I begrudge you that opinion. Like, I tend to agree with you. I'm just, for some reason, I'm not as harsh on... I guess for me, it's like, I don't let that color my impression of the story, but, like, there's two separate issues. Story's good, we both agree. Yeah. Storytelling, not so good. Right. And I think we're basically on the same page there, in that respect. Yeah, totally. And just briefly, what about the gameplay? Huh? You like the gameplay?
I do. I like the combat system. Yeah. There are things about it that I don't love, but we've addressed most of those. Yeah. I think the travel system is interesting. I think it's a little tedious getting from one end of Basel to the other. I think that could have been dealt with a little bit better.
Although, in a lot of cases, if we had just hexed and used energy stations appropriately, it probably wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a little bit better, but still, you can only fast travel to your home.
To home, yeah. You would still have to travel out.
If you could go from anywhere you wanted, then I'd say, yeah, we totally fucked up and should have done it sooner. Yeah. But because it's just a home, it's not a huge help.
No, I mean, it would have been better, but it doesn't solve the problem by any means.
And especially since some of the quests are literally just fetch quests, like...
Yeah, those ones are kind of dumb.
Yeah, you're here on level 12. Go all the way up to level 1, get something, and come back. Yeah. It's like, fuck you. Just fuck you. Just go get it yourself. Anyway, so I would overall say this game is awesome. I highly recommend it to someone who has a lot of time on their hands.
This game's fantastic.
It's
a lot of time on your hands, a lot of patience.
It's not something you're going to beat quickly, and it's definitely something you're going to need to invest in more than just playing the missions. You've got to spend time. I mean, random encounters aside, we skipped most of those throughout this playthrough. That's true. But you got to spend time doing all the extra missions. And
ultimately, did you catch what our save clear time was?
I didn't. No.
No, I didn't either.
60-something, probably.
Yeah, 60-something.
So I mean, that's it's not exactly Skyrim, but it's a lot of time. And you got to spend the time, especially on gun customization and shit like that. Yeah. The thing that I love most about this game is the strategy involved. Yeah. That it doesn't.
You would think that a game based on such a simple core concept of like you have guns, run in straight lines, do a triangle. Yeah. Like this is basically like the core of the combat. Yeah. You would think that you master that easily, but no. You don't. There's so much more depth to it.
Like. which I think is really impressive, and that's the thing that really endears this game.
I really like the combat system of this game. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and I do like RPGs, so it's not just like, you know, it's one of the only examples I've dealt with or anything like that. I mean, if I had all the money in the world, I would make a sequel to this game. I'd find a way.
Yeah.
Like, I do really like this game.
Yeah. Anyway, so go buy it.
Yes. This gets the seal of approval. Trying really hard with the portmanteaus here.
It didn't go
Not
well.
so good. That one wasn't very good.
The seal of approval. And if you want to listen to the soundtrack and you have $80,
you
can buy it.
Buy the goddamn soundtrack, which is amazing, but
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
All right, so we got more stuff coming down the pike, so keep an eye out for our next Let's Play. And
yeah, I mean, there's also those dungeons.
There's also those dungeons. Are we doing
Black
those?
Hex dungeons? I mean, I want to play them. I feel like to some extent we're somewhat obligated to show them off if we're gonna play them.
All right, well, keep an eye out for those.
Those may not be coming immediately, but those will be coming. There may be more story in there. I don't think so, but there might be.
Nah, I doubt it. It would be sweet though.
Yeah, maybe there's like a cutscene that actually just wraps up all the things.
The whole Zephyr thing is completely explained.
Yeah, like you'll hear like Tek's mind actually be blown. It's like,
all right, thanks guys.
Let's play over.
See y'all later.